What not to wear in Paris to avoid looking like a tourist. You made it to Paris and you want to enjoy it as the locals do. Plus, visiting the must-see gorgeous monuments and have the Parisian experience without being spotted as a tourist. In this video, I will tell you why you may want to decide to blend in, but also the big don'ts in terms of dress wear. First, in general, but also specifically for men, and then for women. This applies more specifically to Paris, much more sophisticated, but also more judgmental than the rest of France when it comes to how people dress. In this other video, I will detail for you what you can wear if you want to fit in during your stay in Paris. Bonjour, I'm Giga, a French serial expat from the blog Expat in France. You will find information on how to adjust to your French life with tips on French admin and French culture. First, why would you want to blend in and avoid looking like a tourist? Well, first you will be less of a target for scammers, pickpockets and sales pitches for tourists. Also, compared to London, people stare in Paris and in the rest of France too. Not necessarily in a bad way, but people can look at you because they like or don't like your outfit, for example. But French people will also stare or just look because they approve or disapprove of what you do. If you want more tips on how to behave with French people, I did another video on this. You will find it up there. Fitting in will minimize being looked at if this is something that makes you uncomfortable. But looking at other people is something very normal in France. French people love sitting down at the terrace of a cafe and just looking at the passing people, sometimes comment, of course. So don't feel offended. I remember when I lived in London telling my French visitors to avoid commenting on Londoners' eccentricity, as this is not something accepted there, even when it's positive comments. First, I found it very surprising as I interpreted fashion and also originality as a way to call for attention. And maybe it is in the UK, but it seems that the attention should not be shown or expressed to strangers. If you are British looking at this video, I'd love to have your opinion on this. So whatever you decide to wear in Paris, it is a good choice, because it's yours. However, it is always good to know what other people may think and how they could react. So now we are talking about the French, but more specifically about the Parisians. And I'm myself from Lyon. So if there are any Parisians looking at this video, I'd love to have your feedback on this. And if you decide to blend in, even just a bit, here are some tips for you. So what not to wear in Paris? First for all genders, and then I'll go into more details for men and then women. First, the obvious tourist outfit would be the sport, or worse, trailer backpack with runners, athletic wear, a visor or cap, and the camera around the neck. One thing you should know about French people and clothing. The French, and even more the Parisian, wear the clothing for its intended initial purpose. So the athletic wear is only to do sports. The runners are to run, and the trailing backpack is just for hiking, not a tourist stroll in Montmartre. And the visor? Well, this is just not a thing in France at all. And you can adapt this logic to any clothing. Of course, this is a general rule, and then it also depends on how it is worn and the style you want to have. The fashionistas are really good at repurposing the items of clothing. So go for it, or you just stick to the initial purpose of the piece of clothing, if you're not a fashionista like me. Then all the promotional t-shirts or hoodies are a big don't. The t-shirt with the name of the last touristic place you've been to, or even worse, Paris, is just a big no. Another big don't. The sandals with socks are just not possible. This is actually a stereotype French people have about German tourists, especially the ones going camping in the south of France. They will have wide feet and red legs by the end of summer. This is not something you want to do anywhere in France, even for comfort. I am not a fashionista and I still believe this is just ugly. I can't find any other word for this. You can expect some comments or jokes if you wear this in France. Then still on the shoe topic, casual sandals like flip-flops would be weird to wear in the city. We wear those at the beach, the countryside, or sometimes in small towns or at home. I wouldn't wear this in the dirty streets of Paris. Now, let me talk to the men. I guess you are understanding that holiday wear is not for Paris. Paris is obviously not the beach or the countryside. So if you are just coming to Paris, leave your shorts, Hawaiian shirts, unless you're a teen. Plain shirt or casual shirt with cotton pants for summer will do. Parisian men don't really show their legs in the capital, only on vacation outside of Paris. In the other big French cities, it will be more relaxed about it. It is not rare to see men in short pants in my city, Lyon, in summer. Also, the plaid shirt, or more specifically, the open plaid shirt over a plain t-shirt, is not commonly worn in France by French men. They would choose either the t-shirt or the shirt. We really associate this outfit with North American fashion, the cowboy style. It won't be a faux pas to wear it in Paris, but there is a big chance you will be spotted as North American. This would be the same if I'd wear my striped shirt abroad with my French accent. Also remember that most French people, especially Parisians, only wear a type of clothing for its initial intended purpose. So the sport jerseys are worn when watching a game in France, unless you're a teenager. Now ladies, in general, as you may already know, French women dress less casually on a daily basis than most Anglo-Saxon women, but also less sophisticated in the evening. This is a general observation. This doesn't necessarily apply to every French woman or Anglo-Saxon woman. One important thing, French women prefer to suggest, leaving some things for the imagination, rather than showing. So very short skirts are not really a thing, and even less with high heels. Also, if you plan to visit a church, mini shorts and tube tops are not approved of. You will not be let in most of the churches with a paying ticket, and you can be stared at in others for lack of respect to the religious place. Also, if we go back to the shoe topic again, you can leave your stilettos at home. Your feet will thank you, as the Parisian stone street make it almost impossible to walk. Or you'll end up with a twisted ankle. One note on the beret. Yes, some French people wear beret, and you can also find them in other European countries, like Spain, for example. But we don't go to touristic places like the Eiffel Tower with a beret on. You can be sure to be spotted as a tourist, especially if you're taking pictures. I mean, if you really want this picture of you with a beret near the Eiffel Tower, go for it. But this is not representative of the French, but more of the tourists in France. I hope this gave you a more specific idea on how to avoid being spotted as a tourist by the way you dress. Of course, only if you decide that you want to blend in. Now, if you want to move to France and don't know where to start, you can download my Move to France checklist to start taking action the right way on your dream. Link in the description below. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this video or learned something new. Thank you for watching. Merci et à bientôt.